Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurs Anonymous Talks After Work. It's your host, Bree,
I'm Lee.
and here we go.
All right, so we're here for another exciting episode. Today we're talking about your why and figuring out what is driving you to become an entrepreneur or even start your own business in the first place. So, with that being said, we got a lot of things to discuss today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, you want to start on your journey, like how you even got started and why you got started more so? Not how, but the
Yeah.
why you got started this time.
Okay. So the why I got started um is a little bit of a personal and a something that was going on in the community at the time, right? So the why I got started is because I am always been a beauty enthusiast. So I've always been big on makeup, big on modeling, big on skincare, all that. At the time that I started my business, there was a trend going around where you had a lot of marketing practices from some of the large brands that were very, I don't want to say racist, but just kind of insensitive, right? Insensitive to the market. So I just remember my initial like start of it was like you had like um, Dove had like a as commercial where they were advertising their soap, but like it went from like a black woman to like a white woman signifying being clean. Then you had Neva who had like a African American, like his head cut off and was an afro.
His head was cut off?
Yeah, yeah.
His head was cut off. What does that mean?
His head was cut off. It was like he was holding his hair and his hair was like in his natural state. And then like the person carrying it was a black man with they was groomed, but like groomed in a I don't say like a white acceptance look. It's like
Skincare
right.
industry is interesting.
Yeah, so the beauty industry at the time, it was just like, yo, there's no understanding of like who's using your products and like how things are being marketed and how it can be really offensive, right? And then you had like our OG first people when you first went natural, the only products available for you, Shea Moisture. And at the moment, Shea Moisture had been acquired. And after that, it was like the marketing practices was like a bunch of white girls talking about, well, I've never been able to buy things for my hair texture. And I'm like, that just kind of like
They was not able to buy things for their hair texture.
for their hair texture when at the moment the entire market was based on their hair texture, and it was a hard time for natural people like black women to find hair products. So it was at that moment where it was like you then had like Rihanna. She launched the whole inclusive movement into the beauty industry where she launched all 40, I believe, um, foundation colors, right? So that kind of got me motivated to be like, okay, yeah, no, there needs to be something done in the beauty industry where people understand that like you're not, yeah, you have to market to everyone. Like there's space for everyone, and everyone uses your products, right? You have to be aware of that. So I was like, okay, I love making skincare products. Why don't I just go ahead and get started making my own skincare products? And for me, I always wanted to make sure I built a company that was built on inclusivity and something that I, to this day, market. And I really push that like skincare should be inclusive. Like people should not feel like they got to go through so many different steps or they can't afford to, that it's not accessible to them. Like they need to be able to look and see themselves in the products that they buy. So that was my initial why.
Okay, well, I mean, you got a lot of influences. It sound like as far as how you got there and things that you've seen. Essentially, you've seen opportunity within the marketplace in itself to decide on to make a move, which I guess we'll get into in a little while. But
Yeah.
your why overall, entrepreneur is I definitely get it. For me, my
Well,
why being um I started off the entrepreneur journey a lot earlier than a lot of people at 14. So back at that time, I had entered the entrepreneur on competition that they had in the city. It was a writing competition. We had to enter to be a part of this program. They was hosting at Morgan University, or for them people that go there, the Morgan State or
yeah,
whatever.
they take real good pride in that the Morgan State. So
Hey, hey, that's their thing though.
it is.
But
It
I
is.
guess I'm a part of it in some capacity only by way of that program. But anyway, I did that program. It's about entrepreneurs for kids, entrepreneurship for children at the time, which teenagers. I did that for my first business plan. I had an embroidery business at the time, and I had the idea that hey, I'm going to sell because we had to wear embroidered shirts for school, and I said, well, if
Oh yeah, I
they
remember
are
that.
if we gotta wear this,
Baltimore City
they
schools.
buying this from somebody. Who better to buy than from a student? It's a good marketing campaign for y'all. It looks good for y'all. It's definitely good for me. So I looked at it like I seen the opportunity in it. But fast forward to actually, of course, going through the whole workforce life and style, and then eventually saying, okay, I'm gonna revisit this. That came a little bit later because I wanted my time back. One, getting your time back is a myth. Uh, but
It's a
I wanted
lie.
my time back, and I wanted to create legacy,
Mhm.
and I also wanted to do things and explore my creativity. So for me, um, and I guess this will kind of segue us into discovering your why. For me, I figured out the intersection between what I wanted to do and how I could make money. Um, I had to go back and realize later on that what I was ultimately doing was reliving my childhood by way of creativity. I used
Okay.
to, as a kid, I used to like playing with toys. I used to use my imagination a lot. So this lane of industry allows me to use my imagination and create new environments, new worlds, settings, storytell to a larger audience, and also helps other people get their voices out there. So for me, my why was that I got to use my imagination again.
Mhm.
So I got to relive my childhood all over again every day. And that innate responsibility of work didn't seem like what it was anymore. So I would say that's one way you could figure out your why. Is there any way that you feel like that other people can figure out their why?
Yeah, I think the best way to figure out your why is if you didn't have to, if money weren't a thing, if like if you did not have to make money, what would you want to do? Right? Like what do you something that you could wake up every day and think like I can do this. Even on the days when you're not like super duper motivated, you could actually still get up and do it. And I think also like that's a good way to discover your why, right? Like there's been times when I was working for someone that like I will wake up and I'm just like I cannot pull, like even though I don't feel like do it, I still can't pull myself to get up and do it, right? But like I can get up and still talk to my staff, right? Because then it's like
Hmm.
they now my why,
Okay.
or yeah, those they become my why, or I can like think about like the beauty industry and just think about like okay, now I can just like maybe I just need to talk to people today, right? I don't have to go deep down into my computer, but I still me getting up and working on the things I really want to do, and so like if that isn't something you can do, that's probably not your why. So like on the days that you don't feel like getting up, do you, if you can still get up, then that is a good way to discover it. Is that really your why?
Yeah, I think the why definitely is going to help you get out of bed when you don't feel like it. Like the tough times when you don't
Yeah.
feel like it. And I even to see that in myself with running. Um, there's a lot of days
Yeah.
I
I need
don't
to get
want
to
to
that level.
run. Like people think you want to like you just love running. Like I actually have a lot of anxiety about running most time.
Really?
And that comes
Huh.
from the idea of I got to get better than I was.
I would have never expected it from you, Lee.
So I would say whatever your driving force is. For me, I'm training for a New York Marathon at the time of this recording,
Whew.
and as I'm thinking about it, I'm constantly getting up at 6 o'clock. The rain, sleet, snow, whatever. I'm outside. I'm gonna run this distance, and I'm gonna do it. It's not because I want to do it again. I want to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I think that that's like that builds like character. That really, I think that's one of the best skills that I felt like I had to learn was that be comfortable being uncomfortable because then you'll do it, right? So like I'm starting to use that in the gym. I'm not going to be running a marathon.
No, you don't got to.
Yeah, no. But like getting
Mental
up,
marathon.
yeah, it's a mental marathon, right? Because like here it was raining for like 3 weeks straight, and I'm like, dang, I really don't want to go outside. Yesterday, when I was walking, it rained, and I was just like, yeah, this is what Lee be talking about. Like I don't want to be out here. It's
I
raining
think
out
it
here.
teach you to embrace the rain in your life. Not just the physical rain,
Yeah.
but the rain in your life. Like you gonna have days where it rains.
At the end of the day, I'm a black girl though. I do not want to be outside in the rain.
I'm telling you, it becomes a joy. Like when I'm done, sometimes even when I'm running in the rain, I got shorts on and stuff, and I look like I look at myself from a perspective of a person that's just looking at me walking like or seeing me run. It's like
Right.
it's raining hard. I'm in the car. If I'm a person in the car, like, why is this person running in the rain? They ain't got nothing better to do than this.
But I think it's just it's like winners don't quit on themselves, right? Like so you
Mhm.
don't quit just because it's a hard day. And I think that like I can see how if you are someone who can train for a marathon, you'd be great at entrepreneurship because it is those days where it's just like you don't have a sale, right? Like when you don't have sales, you don't have a single client, and you don't have that money just ringing in
Mhm.
like that, you still have to get up. You still have to go to work. You still have to put in. You have to put 100% in no matter if you're tired, anything like that. So I think that like having a serious why is important. Um, I will also say like out externally from like your business why, like what is your life why, right? Because like I have a personal life
Mhm.
why. My life why is that I want to be able to be a stay at home mom when it's time for me to have children. I want to be able to not have to like leave my kids at home to go into the workforce. I want to be able to afford a house, afford the type of life that I could actually like um grow a garden and all those type of things, right? Like that, right? You just not think about like what financial burdens look like at that point, right? So that's my why that gets me up, just like, do you want to quit your business today? I'm like, yeah, I know. I gotta get up. I gotta make this happen because like my long term why is I'm not just doing this for me, I'm doing this for like the generations that are gonna come from me.
What I mean,
So
it's kind of messed up to say,
really?
but
Is it me
no, no,
for
not
me?
not for you to not about you, but I'm just thinking about like I was watching the Mr. McMahon documentary recently, and I'm just looking at him going through how he built his wrestling empire and how he got it from his father, and when it's time for his kids to take over, he was just like, yeah, you're gonna have to be pretty much gonna have to have that. He didn't say this in these words, but you gotta have that dog in you to get it. Like you gotta take it from me, just like I took it from my father. So it kind of creates a sense of what's the word when you nepotism. Like people start to feel like they just entitled to stuff, and you gotta
Ooh.
wonder if they're gonna burn your money down.
Let me help you out. Let me help you out. I'm gonna say this because my parents told me this. Look, I don't care how much money I got.
Hmm.
I will have
But you
money.
say you want to make it for generational wealth.
No. You gonna have my children will have they'll have an easier life. But darling, you still gonna have to make it. You're gonna make it happen. I give
I mean, I
like
will say his kids in his scenario, they were like serious though. They were serious.
yeah.
They wasn't like just living off of him.
Yeah, that's different. Cause like
But
what you won't do is me sit here and spend my life grinding and you decide that you about to just blow my wealth. That's not what happened. I think
that's
it
what
was
typically happens though.
I think it was like I think Steve Harvey is like he publicly said that like he's like yeah me and your mama got money but y'all don't got money like
Hmm.
y'all are not wealthy like but that builds character in your kids is like really realizing that like there is there's being a giving a leg up but then there's also enabling people and it's just like yeah don't be an enabler. Not
Yeah, you
saying
don't
kids
want to
gotta
be an
get out the
enabler.
mud because mine are not sorry but
They might
but
gotta get it out the sandbox
yeah,
though.
yeah, you might have to get it out the sandbox, so
Like
maybe out the front yard.
I
But
need
you,
to go do something. I get anxious watching what I see as slight entitlements. I find myself
absolutely.
getting micro agitated.
Oh yeah, but it starts young because like one of the things I think is so cute is that like my niece helps me because she's expensive. I'm an aunt to a spoiled niece, love her,
Hmm.
but baby girl has already started to work for me. Like she
Okay.
knows how to like she's already started to work. If you go to my Instagram page or my YouTube page, you can see cute little videos of her helping me package things, helping me at like vendor events and things like that. And she enjoys doing it. She enjoys making her own money. Even though this girl has every single thing handed to her, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I'm not saying that, yeah, you just gotta teach them at an earlier age that you have to earn money. Can't just like it's not gonna come to you.
Yeah. All right. I know we went off on a
Yeah, we
tangent,
did.
but
That was a tangent.
um, to answer your question, my personal why,
Yes. What's your
my
long term why?
long term why, I have a lot of micro situations that I pick up along the way, even with
Micro
relationship.
situations.
Yeah, even with relationships, I will take from things that I like, and I'm like, okay, that was a good concept. I'm gonna take that to the next level on the next situation. So one of those things I had encountered early on was somebody had told me about how their father was able to go to all the field trips with him. I was like, I want to be able to do that. I don't want nobody to tell me I can't go to the field trip if I want to go. Now, if I don't want to go, I probably won't go. But I want an option of being able to. Another personal thing that had happened to me, I think it's good traumas and bad traumas. I think when people get that word, hear that word, they automatically think of negative. I guess this one could be considered one of the negatives. But when I was working my regular 9 to 5 job, I remember my stepfather being in the hospital, and they was like, "Yeah, about to pull blood, he's done." And I'm just like, "All right, look, I gotta leave. I'm letting y'all know I'm leaving out to the hospital. This is what's going on." The lady looked at me and she was like, "Yeah, that's gonna be a half a point. You know that, right?" I'm like, "You think this is the time to talk to me about points?" I just explained. I know in my mind, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I accepted that.
Yeah.
This ain't the time to talk to me about that, though.
Yeah.
And when I went back in the situation, I found out I had bereavement and all that other stuff. So really, it wouldn't have been nothing. But you made me feel like, dang, even if somebody's dying, I couldn't do nothing about it. I'm at your will, at your mercy. And I ain't like that.
Absolutely.
So I said, well, let the empath begin. Game begin, because I'm not going to be dealing with people that don't know how to deal with people.
There we go.
So that's even where the name empath and the studio name comes from.
And it's so important that you like have that why, because I think that's another really important thing about like just leadership, right? Because if someone is concerned that their loved one is about to pass, no matter what type of point, no matter whatever, they are not going to be productive at work. Why are you being like, you know what I mean? Like just using your own ego to say, oh no, you got to stay here. Oh no, you can't do this. Oh no, like this person's not going to be productive and focused or anything. Yeah. So it's just being a human being.
You'll get way more out of a person by just being personable.
Yes.
People will feel good. They will stay around.
People will literally accept the pay cut.
They'll be like, I remember that time.
If the person that they're working for cares about them. And so I think that that's a big part of like your why, right? It's just like, that's another thing. Like, I wouldn't say I've had like situations like that where I couldn't leave, because you already know me, Lee. You've worked with me before. You know I will peace out a job the moment that they say something like that to me.
So what makes you keep going when you don't feel like it though?
When I don't feel like
even at this stage of entrepreneurship, what makes you say, I'm sick today, the weather's bad outside, I got a flat tire, my family member needs my assistance, and these bills are rolling in?
I honestly feel like it's my team. Like when I say that, because it's like, it's one thing when you have your responsibility for yourself and you can accept things, but it's another thing when people are dependent upon you to go forward. And so like, in a way, I can kind of understand when parents be like, oh, I got to get up, I'm going to make it happen for my kids regardless of my motivation, because I feel like my business is my baby and I keep going for it. And I'm like, that, and then also just the fact that like, you're like, not going to lie to you, them bills are a motivator. Bills are bills.
Like, we're going to get paid.
You're going to get paid, right?
You're going to find a way to get us, right?
You're going to figure out a way to pay us, right? So it's like, the bills really are a motivator. Like, I would never say that the bills aren't something I wake up. As a matter of fact, usually when I wake up and I check my phone, there's a notification that your bills due on such and such day, and you be like, oh, there we go. I got to get up and
I like the notifications in the morning of money coming in.
Yeah, I like those too, but sometimes
like, oh yeah, okay. And like, we just sent you this money. I'm just like, let's get it.
Like, I love when I get that little Amazon like transfer sent. Oh my goodness, yes, that feels great. But like,
make you want to get up to the Bobby Smurda song. Hear the dance in your head, just like, I'm about to get up.
Or I be thinking about like, because I'm happy, happy song. But I'm like,
do the usher slide in the bathroom, okay?
But yeah, no, I think that like, I think that that's the biggest why. But the one thing I want to tap on too, before we go, is the how to make sure you're partnering strategically to keep your why going.
Okay.
Right, and so have you found yourself like making those partnerships or denying partnerships or opportunities because it didn't align with your why?
Denying people that don't align with my vision more so than my why. Um, my why is independent of outside forces for the most part. Now, I do credit and account for some of those forces because, yes, like I said, I'd like to see other people's dreams come true and their vision come to reality. As said in our tagline, you bring the vision, we bring it to life. I like to deliver that, but I don't want to be enslaved by the will of what other people are doing because people come and go in my industry. People start shows, they leave shows. People, like, to be honest, the average, if you go past 11 episodes in this industry, you are like 2%.
Oh, wow.
It's not that many people that make it past that. That's like the threshold of, let me see what my pain tolerance is. So for me, the idea of having that why lets me know I don't want to be like everybody else. One, that's just me. I don't want to be what you was. I used to pray as a kid, like, can I please be like everybody else? And I realized God was like, nah, you can't. You're gonna have to be different than them. But as life went on, I realized why I had to be different than them, because they needed somebody to lead them.
Interesting.
So it's some people, I look at it, it's always going to be a person in a position in every family dynamic that has a little bit more savviness to them, and that person is usually going to be able to help. Now, if they deny their blessing, the family stays in shambles.
Absolutely.
So if you come along and you're in that generation and this is your burden of responsibility now, and you just can't live up to it, you get to enjoy not only the satisfaction of knowing what you've done, but the rewards of execution. So like you said, I want a vacation. I want to take a lot of vacations. I don't want 2 weeks of vacation.
Yeah,
right now I don't get a lot of vacation.
2 weeks is crazy.
Now I can say, like, within the 3rd or 4th year of business, now I'm starting to say, okay, I can take a month off and just disappear if I really want it.
I don't take a month off ever.
I'm just saying I'm doing it, but I could do it.
Yeah, I don't think I could take a month off. But I know for sure that I will disappear for weekends. Like, people will look at my best friend actually thinks it's funny. She'll always like, well, are you in town? Because sometimes I'm like, I'm MIA. Especially when it's getting too stressed out. I'm like, yeah, let me go ahead and book a plane ticket someplace. I got to get away from this place. But
so on the weekends, you can kind of do that at work. I'm looking to do things I can't do at work.
I can't believe, I don't even, the thing about it is that for me, like, I don't know about you, but for weekends are my biggest selling time.
Okay.
Right? So I usually have to go in the middle of the week if I need to take a break.
You saying for your, okay, because you do a lot of
markets and stuff like that. So like during the week is when I can just up and say, I gotta go to Timbuktu for a day. Like, and sometimes I really do. I've loved that I'm in the DMV. I know we we on a tangent real quick, but I love being in the DMV because of how close we are to everything. Like, you can disappear to Massanutten, disappear to Deep Creek. You can even go down to Shenandoah, right? You can disappear wherever you need to go, and be there within like 3 or 4 hours. Yeah, so it's great to be able to just disappear sometimes. But I want to say that you actually touched on a point that my pastor touched on Sunday. It's just about being that I would say the black sheep of the family, like the person that just like, I don't really fit into this person, but fit into this family. But also that could be your calling, that could be your blessing, and it could be the moment that, like, maybe you're struggling at your job because mommy and daddy told you you need to go get a job when really you should be starting your business, you know? But I wanted to get back on the topic of, like, when you are deciding upon partnerships that align with your why and how you determine, like, how you're going to do things, right? So, like, I know in the beauty industry, raising capital can be a double-edged sword, right? I know in the beauty industry, a lot of people, it's hard to scale up. It's very hard to scale in the beauty industry without taking on outside investment. And if you take on outside investment, though, in order for those investors to make their money back, you got to sell, right?
So shares of your company, or
you got to sell your company.
Oh, the whole company.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about, like, what that looks like And another episode, I'm not gonna say necessarily it's gonna be the next episode, but
Okay.
another episode for sure about what it's looking like being built to sell. And we could talk about even that book, Built to
Yeah.
Sell. And making sure your businesses has the things in place to do that.
And if that is still aligned with your why, right? Because
Mhm.
when I think about, for me, selling is not aligned with my why. Not because I didn't start this business for a larger company to come in and take out the whole why, right? The why is because we needed inclusive skincare. The why is because people needed to see themselves in their brands. The why is because people needed simple ingredients. They didn't need chemicals and things like that, right? If you now sell to a company, that why gets taken out. And we've seen that so many times with like Shea Moisture. And now you have some other beauty brands that have come under fire that were originally started for the same why that I started mine for,
Mhm.
just getting smear campaigns now and
Are you
lawsuits.
saying like
And
because they
they changed it.
deviated
Yeah, they deviated. They started
ingredients?
changing
You
changing
know,
formulas,
they gotta
changing
put a little
more.
fent in there and stuff. They gotta put a little fent in there, cut it with something. I guess
Yeah, but then
they
it,
trying to
it
stretch
ruins
the
your whole
product.
why. Like if your why was that you wanted to create products for natural hair, then you start putting chemicals in it. It ruined the whole why.
It's an interesting thing, and when it comes to building your brand off your why to the public, I think
Ooh.
the reason why I say that is because
Okay.
at some point
Okay.
you probably do want to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say, "Hey, look, I want to be," like I stopped even having this in my bio. I used to tell people, "Hey, we're the number one podcast studio in the city. Oh, we're the number one podcast studio in the state." Now, while that could be true on a statistical level, I don't want to bottleneck the company into existing in
Mm-hmm.
this one market because now people are going to associate it with this particular market
Mm-hmm.
only. So if you grow your business and say, "Hey, well, my skincare company, for example, is going to be the best for Black women ever," and then you go, "Okay, well, I serve that market, but I kind of want to serve some more markets."
Yeah.
Now people looking at you with the side eye like, "I thought it was just for Black women.
I know, and
How dare you?
I think that that's a lot. That's one of the things I want to
How
clear out
dare
really
you
quickly.
grow?"
Let me clear this up for you. That's why I never said my stuff was for Black people only. Like I've never said that. And
No, I'm
it's
not saying you
oh yeah,
did.
I was
I
saying
said for
oh
example.
yeah, I know
For
shit.
example, if somebody puts that out there, though, I've heard people start
Yeah.
their companies around
Oh
doing work,
yeah, yeah.
and they
I see what
said
you mean.
we're trying to help women in the
Yeah.
city, and now they out in Frederick County somewhere, and they like, I thought
Mm-hmm.
these resources supposed to go to the city.
Yeah, I think
So now
that
I'm challenging you on what you said.
yeah.
The nature of this business was about is you're not living up to the mission statement of what you said
Right.
this was. So being intentional about what you give to the public is
Yeah.
definitely important. Like I don't think you should. Everything's not for everybody. I got more personal why of why I do things,
Right.
but I know everything's not for everybody.
I think you touched on another point that we should definitely bring up in another episode is understanding your market and how to market to people without excluding people, right? Excluding
Hmm.
people, right? Because you don't really know who your target audience is. Like, because I think that was something that I almost made the mistake of, right? When I first started making skincare products, I'm thinking like, oh, Black women are my number one target. Absolutely not. When I actually looked at my numbers, that's why I can go out and say, no, my products are meant for everyone. Because when I look at the numbers and I look at where people are buying them from, their demographics and everything like that, I'm like, oh yeah, no, my customer base is very diverse,
Hmm.
right? So like, I'm not going to exclude anybody from my marketing, right? And so like, and as believe it or not, like as my team, we talked about that. Like we were talking about like how, you know, many people would assume because I'm a Black founder that my customer's Black. If you are a Black founder out here that is about to start your business, your customer does not have to be Black. That's the first, right? Get it out your head. They do not have to be Black. And understand that you are automatically limited yourself from even understanding your target market or your target audience and what their needs are by even going into it like that. That's just what I'm gonna start with. I'll leave it there. We can go on a different episode of like
No,
that, but
I
like,
agree. I agree.
but yeah.
I was just going to bring up a article I seen real quick. And they were saying what would make Americans more likely to start a business, and
Ooh.
this is like the barriers of why people are saying they wouldn't start, or like if they would change. 74% of people are saying funding. They have
They would wait, say it again.
so if these barriers were not an issue, they would start
A business. Okay.
start a business. So funding is one of the biggest ones. Some people just don't feel like they have enough information about technology.
Oh.
And the rest is saying group benefits. So I guess they're looking at it like having the benefits that we kind of touched on before in other episodes about health insurance and things like that. Like, I don't know if I leave this, I'm thinking about having a kid next 2 years. If I leave here, what am I going to do as far as insurance, or how am I going to start this business with not enough money? And that's funding. We can definitely have a conversation about how you even get the capital to start your business and diverse strategies. But I'm glad that we was able to touch on the why today, because in this close niche entrepreneurial anonymous type of group setting, we want to make sure that we talk about these things.
Yeah.
Why you do what you do, how other people can figure out their why, and so they can start doing something, and staying on track and always having your North Star. And I had funny that we talked about Morgan earlier, because I actually did a class at Morgan. I went there and talked to a group of entrepreneurial students that was in business class. One of the guests that was on the show, the professor invited me there to talk to him about that very subject, and I was going through it with them, and I was like, you got to have your North Star figured out. If you don't know what your North Star is, you're going to get lost in the darkness of the business, because it's going to be them days where it's just like, it just don't seem worth it. And you got to say, well, if I keep going this direction, even though it might seem like I'm seeing some Southern type stuff, I'm headed north. I just got to stay the course. You got to figure that out to stay the course. And even having your micro bullet points under that to reinforce it. So if you think about structures, if we're looking at this tripod, they say this one of the strongest shapes in nature is triangles. And that stands true because of the equal portions that align to the tip. And keeping that in mind, at the tip is your North Star. Having a structure around your North Star of the fundamentals is going to just keep it grounded and always remind you of a different element within it. Right. That still identifies with the main thing.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. And like, just curious, what's your why? If you have a why, why don't you go ahead and leave us a comment at the bottom of the video. Tell us your why, because I'm curious. We shared our whys. Oops, we want to hear your why. Yeah, I think that keeping in mind where your North Star is something that sometimes it's even just personal, right? Like sometimes it's not even something you talk to people about. You're just like, yeah, I just need to get this done, or something I need to prove, or something like that. Because sometimes the why is sometimes like our whys are all like unique to us. Some people's whys are because they want to prove something, or they want to do something.
There's nothing wrong with that,
and it's nothing wrong with that.
Like, trauma enforced whys is okay in my world.
Yeah, I actually was listening to a Believe It or Not podcast. Let me get the name of I gotta get the name of the podcast for y'all.
Okay.
My phone.
So I think while you're looking for that, I think trauma enforced whys are important, because sometimes you might be at a job, like how I just described situations where you're going through something and you're saying, because of these negative things, I need to do better. Or maybe somebody challenged you, told you that, hey, you are not capable of doing that thing. You're not capable of starting a business. You're not smart enough. You don't know accounting. You don't know where to get the funding from. You don't know how to find a location. They're going to tell you a whole bunch of whys, and you might have some of these pushbacks for yourself. Now, pushing through that is going to also help you discover your why and keep the negative self-talk to a minimum. So that is a big factor that, are you able to find it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, then his name is Andrew. Lord, don't let me mess up his name. Monty, but he's a CIA agent that was talking about how sometimes like people who have experienced childhood trauma end up being high achievers solely because they have something to prove. And I think that that's interesting when they think about like some people's why, because like I know there are some people who are like serial entrepreneurs where they just like They build this one business, sell it, build another business, sell it. I met a man beforehand who I think he sold like 10 businesses at some point in his life. And at some point he was just working on a tech company here in Baltimore. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't know if that's comfortable or not, but like his why was that like he grew up with no food. He
Okay.
grew up with no food and he grew up hungry. And so he wanted to be able to just have FU money enough to do what he wanted to do and help the communities he wanted to help. And he did exactly that. The man retired a multi-millionaire simply off of like the childhood trauma that he had.
That's what I said. I
So,
think you can take traumas and definitely
yeah.
use them to push you and propel you forward.
Yeah.
People often talk about a teacher that told them that they wasn't going to be nothing and
Mhm.
stuff like that. It's like, I gotta prove you wrong. I had that happen to me. I had funny story for me was in ninth grade. I had an English teacher, and I was a kid that did the bare minimum. I was like, I know how to
I
do
can see
enough
that.
to pass.
I could see that. Most entrepreneurs were like
I
that.
had no
Yeah.
incentive, but once I was given an incentive to pass and like get on the roll and stuff, I did it because I was feel like I was incentivized
Yeah, makes sense.
to do it. But I had this teacher, and he was like, "Hey, look, because you don't do homework," and I felt like homework was 20% of my grade, so I can get at least an 80 in here. And if I'm not
That's if you get
perfect, I'm gonna
100%
get a
everything
70.
Okay.
And 70 is passing. So I did the math to say I'm gonna pass this class regardless of this homework. But day after day he would give me zeros for not doing homework. Okay, whatever, I don't care. I kind of anticipated this anyway. I accounted for this. Little did he know. But he would say, "Hey, at the end of the day, he was like, I'm gonna take letters away from your name, and I don't have a long name. So by the end of it, you're gonna have just the O. So right now, I'm just gonna call you Lawn the rest of the time. I took away the E. So that was a whole way thing, and I was like, okay. So you think it's not that I can't do this. You just think I can't do it. I just choose not to do it, and I'm intentional about why I'm not doing it.
I can see y'all. I just want y'all to know this is Lee's personality here.
So
like
for me, I looked at that situation and I said, okay, this is where we're going with this. Got it. Challenge accepted. So from that point on, I proved them wrong. I would say, nobody's gonna ever count me out again.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I'm not gonna always show my hand, but I want you to know that at any point, if I feel like turning it on, it's on. It's not like a question if I can do it. It's if I feel like doing it.
Interesting. I can see that from you. I can say like part of mine is trauma. I'm a plus size girl with short hair in the beauty industry. And black at that. So yeah, everything about my whole journey is radical. Pretty much, right?
So you're challenging all the status quo.
I'm challenging everything, right? And so like and I think that's so interesting because I didn't expect for me to be I don't say I didn't expect from the success. I don't want to say it like that. But like I honestly did not expect that from it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes once you put yourself in that mode of challenge, you're like, oh shoot, like, okay, I'm not what everybody said I was, right? So like, yeah. But I'm letting you know that though. Like being a black plus size girl, short hair in the beauty industry is just like funny enough, I went to a conference in New York. And I'm there and I'm looking around like, yeah, I'm one of the only black girls in here. And ain't nobody in here over a size like maybe 8. I'm sticking out like a sore thumb in here. And I still had to show up. I was
had to show up with confidence.
Show up with confidence.
I that's why I say I think the negative side, but I want to give one example of a positive side too, because I don't want people to just think trauma is just negative. Sometimes the positive could be something as simple as you're the golden child. People looking at you as the golden child, and they have high expectations of you, and you could actually meet them. And I don't think nothing's wrong with that either, because as the golden child, it's a delicate balance. I get it. Some people going like their version of the golden child might be a lot different than my experience, I would say. But within that, you could look at it and say, okay, well, if much is expected, much is
required.
Yeah, like, so you're gonna actually step it up every time. Like, okay, I'm giving this opportunity. Let me make sure I do something with it. Let me not fumble the ball. And it makes you practice and work on that. So I don't want to leave that out. I wanted you to know it is positive trauma as well. And that, because that could come with a lot when you have that heavy as the head crown mentality of dealing with things.
And then when you just show up for your show up too, because the other thing is like I will never forget what I was about to. Oh God! And this happened this year. This didn't happen last year. This happened this year, a few months ago. I was looking at the numbers. I had looked at everything, and I was like, "Oh man, we're about to close down. We're gonna just close. I'm about to close Sling Naturals." And I sat and I tried to break it to my team, right? And the initial response was like no one was like no, everyone listened to me, listen to me say what I had to say. And then it was just like, oh, we're not closing down shop. Like, we're just gonna have to fix this or go better and stuff like that. It's beyond you. Like, you can't. She was like, especially it was my marketer, so she's like, you can't quit because other people are dependent upon you to make it. Beyond finances, beyond money and things like that, there are people who need to see you make it so that they can keep going and keep making it. And I was like, oh wow, that was a good moment of like, dag, even when you think that people aren't paying attention, they are looking, and you starting may trickle down to a whole, like for other people to be motivated. And especially I think in like communities that we come from, it's really different. You don't really see entrepreneurs. You don't see like people just actually making it as a lifestyle. You may see people with a side hustle, but to sit there and say, oh, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I grew up in the same schools I went to the same schools you went to, same community, same neighborhoods and stuff like that. Like, I need to see you make it so that I can know I can make it and know it's possible. And that sometimes isn't that, like, that goes back to that being that almost like a lone wolf in your own family. Sometimes it makes it, you be like, oh, I'm doing this all by myself. And then you talk to someone like, nah, but you keep me motivated. And you like, what? You be paying attention? Like, I didn't even know you be paying attention. Like,
people are watching your journey.
Absolutely.
Whether they say something every day or not. And I got people that reach out. They've been looking at me do certain things for a long time. They like, I really admire what you do. I'm just like, how long you been seeing this?
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I've been looking at it a lot, but I just don't normally say nothing.
I went to a festival and this girl walks up to my table. I was at a festival and the girl walked up to my table and she's like, I just want you to know you're the reason why I'm here today. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I was going to stay in bed, but like actually seeing how you got, like, you walked us through your journey, you posted about it, and you came here. I just got out of bed because at first I saw your video. She saw the video I had on Instagram, and then when I went live and I was posting everything about what was going on, she then was like, okay, she went through with it. Let me just get out of my bed and come out too.
Yeah. Sometimes you're going to be other people's North Star.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I just want to, again, thank y'all for coming to another episode of an Entrepreneurs Anonymous Talks After Work.
Swear you're going to get the name right.
I'm one day I'm going to get it right.
Come hang out with us after work while you work on your entrepreneur's journey.
In a close-knit community.
Absolutely. Leave your comments and things that you want us to talk about the next episodes. Also engage with us on Instagram. We are Eat After Work on Instagram. We are Eat After Work on YouTube, as well as on Buzzsprout.
All platforms that you can find your audio.
Yes. All platforms. So, you probably should get on TikTok too.
Yeah, we're going to have to get that. We're going to have to get that. I've never been on TikTok, really.
Oh, I got to get off of TikTok, man. I'm so addicted to TikTok. I got a streak running right now.
So make sure we'll see y'all later. We're going to talk about this offline.
All right. See you.